We heard the whistle. It's the semifinal edition of the final whistle from yours truly, Jackson Johnson, and my good buddy Austin Williams from Sports Talk with Austin as we go over our takes on what happened between the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Penn State Nittany Lions in the Orange Bowl and in the Cotton Bowl at the Jerry Dome between the Buckeyes of Ohio State and the Texas Longhorns. And I'm going to tell you something, folks. It's gonna be a wild ride. How you doing tonight, good
hmm
buddy, on this fine Saturday night?
Doing pretty good. Enjoying the Saturday. I watched the last two NFL wildcard games. They were some interesting games. And of course, we had to come here and talk about these two games because we would be remiss not to. We're this is part of our jobs, so I'm looking forward to talking about it and celebrating with the people in the chat, especially if you're Notre Dame, Ohio State fans. Celebrating this moment with you because you don't know how many of these you're going to get.
That's for sure. And we've got some Buckeyes in the chat celebrating, like Hamas Hero. What's up, man? Congrats on the Buckeyes and congrats on the Buckeyes, Troy V.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get to
Yeah.
that in a little bit. Rough Rider returns. Hello, gentlemen. Hello, Rough Rider. How you doing tonight? Thanks
What's
for coming.
up?
What is up? And what is up, Jason O? And that's right, breakaway. Let's go. There we go. Final whistle. Yeah, the Steelers, before we get to Notre Dame Penn State, the Steelers, they always do just enough to get to a winning season. I know that there's a top YouTuber, a urinating tree. He always warns about this, about the Steelers, that they always win games they shouldn't and they lose games they shouldn't, but they're just mediocre. And he's a Steelers man. So that's like a huge
hmm
deal right there. And of course, he made the famous Days of Our Steelers YouTube playlist in 2018. Like
hmm
that stuff was so funny. Oh my god, it was hilarious.
The days of our Steelers. But, and Jason O says Baltimore's looking pretty good. Pretty good. Well, I'll say this. Obviously, y'all know me and Jackson are Louisville and Alabama fans, so we're both pretty excited because Jackson gets to see his Bama man. I get to see my Louisville guy, Lamar. It's a win-win for both of us.
Yep. And I really want to see if the Baltimore Ravens can get past the divisional round, which I mean, last year they did. They got past the divisional round. Unfortunately, they lost the AFC title game. I mean, they got Derrick Henry so they could get to a Super Bowl. Can they win the AFC? That's going to be a huge question for Baltimore. Let's not throw the cart in before the horse just yet on the Ravens. Yeah, they beat a Steelers team, but it's not exactly a Terry Bradshaw, Lynn Swan team. So,
hmm It's a good win. I'll say this, Jackson. It's a good win. It's always good to beat your division rival after
sure.
playing them twice in the regular season. That's always a good win. And I'm not going to discredit it, but like you said, we still got a lot of playoffs left. Let's see what everyone else looks like. And the Chiefs are still the defending champs, so anything can happen. And Troy V. Jackson is here to save them babies from getting thrown in that bathwater, that darn bathwater.
There we go.
Well, hopefully no babies will get thrown in that bathwater, Troy. I mean, not yet. Hopefully. And Rough Rider Return says, "Great, good to be here." And Dreadnought Fear says, "Steelers are the best." Well, they didn't look the best tonight, but if you're a Steelers fan, God bless you. I mean, I'm a Cowboys fan, so and Jackson's a Titans fan. We're all in penitentiary together here, I
We're
guess.
all in this together. Do.
And that may have
I
answered.
forgot the lyrics. We're all in this together.
And this may have answered my question, Jackson. Dreadnought Fear says the Ravens are horrible. I understand that, especially if you're a Steelers fan. Your rivals are always horrible. Like the Eagles, I hope they lose tomorrow to the Packers, even though I don't like the Packers that much either. And I'm sure Jackson feels that way about I don't know who the Titans dislike, but oh
Not
boy,
that many.
Troy V's a Bears fan.
At least not from
Troy
my
V's a
perspective.
he's a Bears fan. Oh, that's even worse. Oh Lord, you got
Yeah.
it worse than Jackson. At
Yeah.
least the Titans had their moment of perpetuity. But speaking of moments, Jackson, a team that had their moment and blew it, Penn State, yet again.
Mhm. Good grief. Like Penn State had their shot. Like they had the lead quite a few times. Like what was that? Oh my god, that was a complete and utter failure.
Well, real quick though, Jackson, before we go on a complete rant, let me introduce the game. Let's give it a proper introduction. We don't want to do it justice.
True.
The 2024-2025 Capital One Orange Bowl from Miami, Florida, Hard Rock Stadium, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and the Penn State Nittany Lions, with the right to play for a national championship in Atlanta, GA on January 20th, up for grabs. Okay, proceed, Jackson, proceed.
Well, and Penn State, they have this reputation of, oh, they can't get past the big game. Well, we still got to see what they can do against Notre Dame. Can they get it done? Well, it didn't. It looked like they could. It looked like it in the second quarter. They had the lead. They had a 10-0 lead, and then like Notre Dame gets the field goal to end the first half, and then boom,
Mhm,
there we go. Notre
mhm,
Dame. There we go. They take advantage in the third quarter, tie the game. Riley Leonard's running it. Jeremiah Love is bringing out the love. Anais Williams is making some big plays. Like,
mhm. And I want to say this, Jackson. Notre Dame, they show me a lot of stuff on Thursday night that I would that I knew that they had, but I didn't know they had this much of abundance of it. And that was resilience and heart beyond belief. Riley Leonard gets knocked out of the game. Steve Angeli comes in, they come down, kick the field goal before half, and then they run it down Penn State's throat to begin the third quarter. This team, Jackson, just never quits. They're like a darn cockroach. You think you stomped them out, and they keep coming back. They keep coming back. They keep just. You think you punched them in the mouth. A good time. Just one good time. You think this is it. We've hit you with our best shot. We've got you. No, Notre Dame punches right back, and it showed in this game. They go down, then Notre Dame scores 14 unanswered, but then Penn State punches back, and the play that I knew that Notre Dame was going to win this game was that Jeremiah Love touchdown run that should have been stopped 4 yards short behind the line of scrimmage. The fact that he drug three guys with him and got that ball across that goal line, Jackson, showed me the heart, showed me the passion that nothing was going to stop them from winning this game. Not even Satan himself was going to stop them because they had God with them.
mm-hmm. I mean, like that game time touchdown to Jaden Greathouse for 54 yards. That helped him a little bit. And for a moment, it looked like it was going to be another big game that Notre Dame was falling short in because, oh, they're coming up short fourth down to the point where they got punt. So it looks like they're just going to have to just, make sure Penn State doesn't get in field goal position. Well, we see Drew Lohr bat the pass. Boom. Christian Gray intercepts it. Yeah, that was the point for me that I felt like Notre Dame was going to win it. That's what I felt
Mm.
like.
And I want to. And Hummus says Notre Dame is a cockroach. Hope Will isn't. Listen, Hummus. It's meant to be a compliment. I meant it to be a compliment. I know it doesn't sound like a compliment on the surface, but it's a compliment. Like, because a cockroach, you can't stomp them out, no matter how many times you do stomp them out. There's always another one. It was meant to be a compliment. Maybe a cockroach. They have a heart of a lion. You get my point. Notre Dame's resilient. Bad choice of words. Just ignore I ever said that. But in all
Wow.
seriousness, though, Jackson, that Drew Aller throw at the end there, what the heck was that?
That was a
Why
failure to
would you?
communicate.
Why throw that? Especially across your body like that. That's asking for it. Like I understand. Like at that point, just get down. Like let's play for overtime. I understand. Sometimes you got to take your chance, and I understand you may not ever get another crack at this again. But that's a bad play. And
I
just like I said on Tuesday, Jackson, I said Drew Aller was going to make one mistake that was going to cost him, and boy, did it ever.
oof.
My, I hope for Drew Aller's sake, Jackson. I, I've read all the comments about. I don't know how he can look his players in the eyes. After that play, how he could look his coach in the eyes. They were questioning. You know, is they were questioning him big time. It's one of them things, Jackson. I understand you got to go for the glory, but you got to know in that situation, you got to be smart and be like, okay, worst that can happen here, just don't turn the ball over. If we take a sack, at least let's play for overtime. I know you're thinking, okay, I think my receiver's better than your corner. I understand that. That's all part of the mental game. But you also have to be like, okay, you have to prove that you're because NFL scouts are going to look at that when they go through his draft stock and they stock and be like, he has an incredible arm. He can make these throws, but his decision making is gets a bit shady in high pressure situations. Go ahead, Jackson. Go ahead.
Well, like Penn State, I agree with the fact that they should play for overtime. Like they should just been like, oh well, we'll take a knee or we'll just run the ball, whatever. We'll go to overtime. That would have been the better strategy. But
Mm-hmm.
I get you want to win all the marbles. I get that. But you shot yourself on the foot big time, Drew Allard. I mean, Drew Allard to me has a lot of similarities to Kirk Cousins. He can win the games that no one really cares about, but he can't win the big games in the regular season or the postseason.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. We're going to talk about Notre Dame, of course. We're not
Yes.
just, and we'll talk a little more about them. Of course, we'll talk about them in the upcoming week, this week, previewing the national title game. But I want to focus on Penn State a little more because Jackson, this was one of the most talented teams, I think, up and down from their offense to their defense. I think Jackson, me personally, I think Penn State's got one of the five best rosters in the country. You know, I don't think many people would argue with me on that. Would you would you disagree with me at all, Jackson? But when I say that,
No.
I think they have one of the five best rosters. They could have won the whole thing, but as we all know, Jackson, sometimes talent don't always win you everything.
True.
And
But style wins everything.
and Tyler Warren Jackson, he was a one man wrecking crew. Jackson Tyler Warren had one of the best games of his career. Where was Penn State's receivers at? Did Drew Allard be like, they can't stop Tyler Warren. Let me keep throwing to him. And then when it was time for them to step up, did you notice that, Jackson? He never threw to a receiver, or if he did, it was very little throughout the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. He just falls apart. And Hamas here says the ironic thing is Franklin generally plays more conservative, gets criticized for it. Then he gets aggressive and it backfires, leading to criticism. Well, I mean, you can't please everybody with your calls. Like that's the thing. And Dave E says Penn State's Franklin can't win the big game. Jason O says Penn State needs to find some playmaking wide receivers. They can never get good wideouts to Central Pennsylvania. And Clint Moses says James Tiny Nuts Franklin was too conservative. 2 minutes left. He punts it. I don't know about his land down under, but okay.
I want to bring this up, Jackson, because Jason O, I'm glad you brought this to the forefront. You remember the off-season splash, Jackson, that Penn State made in the transfer portal, getting getting Julian Fleming from Ohio State, right? A lot of people thought that was gonna. A lot of people thought Penn State already had the roster and the horses to do a lot, but Julian Fleming was someone they thought that would put this receiving core with Warren and the running back trio up over the top a little bit, would take them to the next level. Where was he all year? Where was he in the biggest moment tonight? I know we've got our Buckeyes here tonight, which we always appreciate when they're here, but am I missing something? Was he not as good as like at Ohio State? He seemed to be everywhere on the field, and and when he comes to Penn State, he's nowhere to be found. Like this is the big moment. This is what like he wanted to come to Penn State for the big moment.
Yeah.
And Hummus Hero, right on cue, our Buckeye people here, Jackson. He says, I like Julian Fleming. He's a great kid, but he was one of the most overrated high school recruits in recent memory. And Troy V says Fleming isn't a good receiver. He's a glorified blocker. Well, that would explain a lot. Because from what I saw on tapes, he looked to be a good pickup for Penn State. Apparently, I was proven wrong. And and Hummus being the Buckeye guys helping us out here, Jackson says Julian was a top 10 overall player in his class and the number one receiver. Okay, so I'm not crazy. Okay, go ahead, Jackson. Before I talk myself, go for it, good buddy. Go for it.
But yeah, the Penn State Needle Lines, like for me, it's really about like the magnificent job that Marcus Freeman has done with Notre Dame. I mean, they got the longest active winning streak in all college football. Agreed. Ohio State. I mean, you can name their receivers, but Penn State's, you can't name a single receiver they got. I mean, I know, right? I mean, it just
Oh,
feels like that.
Jackson, now I know you're trying to give Notre Dame credit, not to cut you off, not
Mhm.
to take away Notre Dame's shine, but what do you think about this? Dreadnought Fear sticking up for James Franklin. Are I'm not saying he's a bad coach or you,
Nobody,
Jackson, but
nobody is saying he's a bad coach or a horrible coach. I think a lot of people are just saying that his teams just can't quite get it done against top 5 teams or top 10 teams for that matter. That's
okay.
what a lot of people are saying about James Franklin.
I think he's a top 10 coach. I've said that quite a few times this year. I think he's a top 10 coach. He like for what he's done for Penn State. I I would think Penn State would have a hard time finding a good replacement. Placement. What do you think,
It
Jackson?
would
Is
it
he a
would
top
feel
10 coach? Go
it would
for it.
feel exactly like when Nebraska fired Bo Pelini when they thought, "Oh, well, beating Iowa's not good enough, so we're going to find a better coach." Then it takes quite a long time for them to replicate what they were having before, because they weren't getting it with Mike Riley, they weren't getting it with Scott Frost, and they're going to see if they can get it with Matt Rule. I think they can, to
Mm,
be honest, but that's no time for another day. But Penn State, when they hired Franklin, it was when Bill O'Brien was rebuilding Penn State when all that bad stuff that was happening to the kids was happening in State College.
mm-hmm,
So it was like all that was going on.
mm-hmm.
And Bill
And
O'Brien left for the Texans. Then we see James Franklin leaving Vanderbilt, and then Boom, he gets him a Big Ten title in his third year as head coach, 2016. The year that Penn State's NCAA violations are all gone. And
Mm-hmm.
Jay says tons of people say Franklin's a bad coach. It's not true though. If he leaves Penn State, they're going to become another Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
could see
Rough Rider
that.
and Rough Rider returns says, "I like James Franklin. I do too." And I'm not going to speak for Jackson. I like James Franklin. I'm with everyone else. I think he's a really good head coach. I think he's top 10 head coach, like I said just a second ago. But your inability in big games, people will begin to talk about you. The whispers will begin, or the shouting, so to speak. I don't think Penn State would fire him, or ever should think about it. And the ones that do start that yip yapping, as Jackson likes to say, those are the nuts Penn State fans. Those are the ones who've had one too many beers and don't know what
Mhm.
they're doing with themselves.
Yep,
But
throwing cheese sauce at the TV, throwing beer at it. Like, come on. Yeah, at
and
Bateman.
like Jackson, you like James Franklin, correct? Just
Who
to get the
doesn't?
record straight.
Exactly. I know I do. I mean, there's a reason why Maryland had him as the head coach in waiting when Ralph Fredgen was still the head coach at Maryland.
Hmm.
They knew
And
the different things he was going to bring.
hmm and Clint Moses says Franklin was a trendsetter at the time. First coach paid above 10 million per year. What about that, Jackson? Little
Yeah.
history lesson for us.
Mm-hmm.
And and Hummus Hero brings up another fantastic point. He says part of Julian's benefit at Ohio State from being a third option with the NFL receivers at each side of him got him more open due to him getting lost by the defense. That didn't happen at Penn State. Kind of reminds me of Ja'Cory Brooks from Louisville this past year, because he was at Alabama previously, not to go on a bit around and get everyone's head spinning, but Ja'Cory Brooks transferred to Louisville because of that exact reason. He had two pros on the other side of him, and he even said he wanted more of a role, and they didn't feel that way about him. So he's like, okay, I'll transfer out, see what's on the other side. Well, he
Mm-hmm.
comes to Louisville, and he becomes one of the best receivers in the ACC and makes a name for himself. And he's on a lot of draft boards now.
Yep.
And I think that's what Julian Fleming thought. Maybe, okay, I've got
Mm-hmm.
two pro receivers beside me. I want to show that I'm the man on my own, that I'm just as good, if not better, than these guys. Let me go to, say, Penn State, where I'm still a contender, but I'm the guy. I'm the
Yeah.
number one guy. I'm the man. I'm going to get the ball. And then Tyler Warren and the running back trio come in, and it's like, I mean, you're not the man. You're not the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, it would be the best thing to happen for Maryland if James Franklin was their head coach. But I mean, that's never happening now. So I mean, that's not going to happen. Hummus says, I'm not saying they should fire Franklin, but his record against the top five is absolutely atrocious. I mean, just by showing up with the typical rosters they should have won more of those games. I could not agree more. Uh, yes, they do. Anyway,
oh boy,
he just
Dreadnought Fear says he says you're mean to coaches. I'm sorry, Jack. I'm so sorry. I had
that's
to.
all right. He's just trying to follow me, and if he really thinks that, then he probably hasn't watched a lot of the show, but that's okay.
This is pretty neat. Imagine the bragging rights the players at Northern Illinois will have if Notre Dame wins the championship. That
I
means
was,
Northern Illinois is better
I
than
was
Notre
wondering if
Dame.
we were ever gonna get the Notre Dame, to be honest, like because it was like, oh man, it was like it's like we can talk about
Well,
James Franklin's top five record anytime. It's like,
well, Jackson, it's very controversial. Jackson, Penn State made some controversial decisions.
yeah, I know, but I think they'll get talked about more when Penn State goes against Oregon in Week 5 of 2025. So I mean, that's what we'll talk about
Well,
next for sure. Well,
not to cut you off, Jackson, but you got to think. We'll have plenty of time to talk about Notre Dame and sing their praises. We got to talk about Penn State. They're the losers of this
I
game. We,
know.
we the history book is written by the winners, not the losers, Jack. Did they
Yeah, I
not
know.
teach you that in football 101? You talk about the losers. The winners write itself.
You
But
talk
in all
about
seriousness, though,
those guys.
go ahead, Jackson. I know you've been dying to talk about Notre Dame. Go for it.
I just like it is a humongous win for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish because I mean it's like at the time that they lost to Northern Illinois, nobody was
Oh,
thinking, "Oh, this team can go to a national title." Nobody was thinking that. But now they got the longest active winning streak in all of college football. And I must say, it's a tremendous job by Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman. And the fact of the matter is that he was willing to listen to Thomas Hammond, where he could have just been like F off and nobody would blame him. And, he'd get a little praise for a little bit and then eventually have another 9-3 season or 8-4 season. But he's done a fantastic job in South Bend. And the funny thing is, Brian Kelly left Notre Dame for LSU because he wanted to have an easier shot at a national championship. Well, how's that working out for Mr. Brian Kelly? It's not
oh my
doing
gosh,
shit for him. It's not doing
Jackson,
shit
Jackson. Why is Brian Kelly coming up in this conversation? Why is he catching
because
strays?
a
He's
lot
at
of
LSU.
LS who? I don't give a rat's behind about those Bayou Bengals. He's not
Oh
doing
my
anything
gosh.
at LSU. Because here's the thing, though, Marcus Freeman took over at South Bend, and a lot of people questioned the hire at that time. I myself questioned it. At the time that he was hired, I was like, why couldn't they have waited for Urban? But now I'm like, I'm glad they did because like the players love him. Like the players love him, the fans love him. Everyone in South Bend loves what Marcus Freeman is doing. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is a great season. If Notre Dame was to win the national championship, he's going to join a few Notre Dame coaches in a very small fraternity of third-year coaches who led Notre Dame to their national championship. Frank Leahy, Ara Parsegian, Lou Holtz, Dan Devine. That's a pretty amazing club to be in. Because I know that would be a great club to be in. But again, I'm looking forward to seeing what the Irish bring, in when we do our pits analysis edition of Notre Dame, Ohio State, which we will get to Ohio
Mm-hmm.
State Texas in a little bit.
Yes, we will, and not to worry, we will. But I'll say this, Jackson, with Notre Dame, they were a team, Jackson. We it, they were scrutinized. You remember at the beginning of the year, before the 12-team playoff was even started, before we even knew what it was going to be, everyone was like, well, this is unfair. Notre Dame's not in a conference. They got an unfair advantage. They don't have to possibly play a conference opponent twice, and yada, 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 yada. Who have you beat? You haven't beaten anybody. You suck. Riley Leonard, he's not going to get you there. Marcus Freeman sucks. Well, to all the doubters, to all the haters, how do you like them now?
Exactly. I mean, how about like Riley Leonard had a pretty good game. I mean, 223 passing yards, touchdown, 15-23 completed passes. I mean, shoot. Jaden Grayhouse had 7 receptions, 105 receiving yards. I mean, this is a tremendous Notre Dame team. And we can talk a little bit about Mike Denbrock. Dude has been fantastic as the OC in his first season back in South Bend. How about that?
hmm and real quick, Jackson, to SEC football's question, he said, in your honest opinion, guys, who has a better shot at beating Ohio State, Penn State or Notre Dame?
Notre Dame.
I would say Notre Dame, but Penn State would probably If
Penn
everybody's
State will lay
healthy,
an egg.
I would say I would say probably Notre Dame probably has the best chance. But as far as who could match up with them skill player for skill player, which we'll talk about that more as we go in depth about the actual game, it would be Penn State. But that I just wanted to get to that because that was an interesting question. Do. But go ahead though, good buddy. Go ahead.
I mean, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish would have a better shot. I mean, look back at 2023. If they had looked at the men on the field on defense in the final seconds of the game, they likely would have beaten the Ohio State Buckeyes in 2023. I mean, you think that they're not thinking about what happened in South Bend on NBC against the Buckeyes? No, they're really going to be thinking about this one. They are looking for. Oof.
Mm-hmm. And Jason O says, I'm curious to see the TV ratings for this game.
That'll be
Notre
a
Dame, Ohio State will be the two biggest fan bases and are two of the most recognizable names to college football fans and the general public. What do you think, Jackson? Who do you think did better ratings? The Orange Bowl or the Cotton Bowl?
Oh, I think the Cotton Bowl. Because I mean, I think honestly, if anybody watched that Andy and Ari interview on 3 the other day, Kirk Herbstreit was on the from College Game Day, Thursday Night Football, and Saturday Night Football was coming in talking about where he was asked about accusations of SEC bias, and he said, if you want to accuse ESPN of anything, accuse us of wanting Ohio State Notre Dame to be the national championship. Well, I'll say this: they've got what they wanted, and I'll be honest though, I'm looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be fun. It's too bad that these two schools have not played this much. Matter of fact, they've only played each other 7 times in their series history. This is going to be the 8th time, and this time it's for all the marbles. But I'm gonna make sure I'm going Winsipedia to make sure I got it right.
In Jackson, I'll say this. And
I'm
and
mistaken.
Breakaway said,
I left out the Fiesta Bowl from 2005, 2006. My bad.
Breakaway 34 says, but is the South the area where most college football fans and with none in the final could be a chunk loss, but football fans will watch regardless who plays just the casuals. Like if you're like me and Jackson, we're out in the Royal South areas, Kentucky,
Mhm.
Alabama. I know we probably have some Ohio's out there, North Carolinas. Now that may be more of a basketball region, but if you're in the Alabamas and Kentuckys like we are which we love our football out here. Now, I will say Jackson State's probably more of a football state than mine is.
Mhm.
We'll get to that in just a second, good buddy. Just a
I
second.
know. I was trying to get the screen thing all set.
Okay. I would say we're more of a basketball state out here, but for me and Jackson, we'll watch regardless. Heck, we would have watched. We'll watch BYU and Arizona State in a national title. Are
Yeah.
you kidding me?
But Jay Snow does bring up a good point. Hardcore fans don't treat big TV ratings. The general public does.
Yeah,
Agree.
true, true.
Like,
That's
I
the
think
unfortunate
like
thing.
yeah, because I think like some of the people that are like, oh well, we're not watching the national title or whatever. They're saying that now, but they'll get it. They'll get over themselves. All that crap about I've never watched college football again because there's not an SC team or there's not big dancing. Get over yourself. It's not about you. My God.
Yeah, like I know we're gonna have people that are gonna come out of the woodworks and say this national championship's gonna be boring because there's no Georgia or Alabama or Texas isn't in it. Well, guess what? 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 You can't have everything, SEC. Let someone else have the spotlight. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, they
And
do.
Jason,
He does have a point because, like, about the Super Bowl being the highest rated TV program. not because of the hardcore fans, but because of like the people that are like planning Super Bowl parties. They're more worried about, oh my god, is my cake good? Oh my god, is my cake good? Tell me if my cake's good. Oh
Oh
yeah,
Lord.
who do those two teams play? Oh my god, nobody cares about the damn cake. Like, the cake's nice, but I'm not worried about the damn cake. I'm thinking about who got to Super Bowl and how. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm not sitting there thinking about that damn cake or your little or pastrami or
Don't forget, Jackson. Don't forget the bean dip. Don't forget the bean dip. It's
bean
got to
dip
look perfect.
awesome, but I don't give a rat's ass about the bean dip.
Let someone else have the spotlight,
Yeah.
says Mr. ACCLL. JK. Listen. Nobody in the ACC, like, like, I'm not one of those people. Like, listen, I'll be happy if an ACC team does win it, but I'm not going to actively be like, woohoo, go SMU or go Clemson.
Now,
I ain't gonna do all that. Like, for heaven's sakes, I'll be happy because that does our conference good. But I'm not gonna throw a party. I ain't like some dude. I ain't gonna be like some delusionals. And Troy V says he wasn't comparing to the NFL, but as a college football game goes, this with the highest rated game of the year at worst top three. Oh, we know that, Troy, but the Super Bowl was brought up, and that's always like the benchmark. Like the Super Bowl is like the biggest thing in across all sports in a lot of people's eyes.
well, and I
If
think
you could
what
beat
would be
this,
better, I think what would be better for college football is if they put the national championship on Saturday instead of having it on Monday nights. I think that really sucks for the game, if anything.
hmm and Hummus Hero also brings up a good point. He says also the Notre Dame fan base is nationwide, especially on the East Coast. The East Coast and the Midwest have majority of the nation's population. Yeah, I have that a friend that I work with, she's a Notre Dame fan, big Notre Dame fan. Her whole family, they're all Notre Dame people. Oh my gosh.
Right.
And like I'm happy that they're doing good, but sometimes they're insufferable. Ugh. But y'all didn't come to hear that. But yeah, I just know some Notre Dame fans, and
Yeah,
obviously Will, our resident Notre Dame guy,
yep.
and Jackson, he's I think somewhat Notre Dame.
Well, I mean, I was raised Catholic, so it gives me an excuse to pull for a second team when they don't play
Okay,
Alabama.
I guess we'll count it. We'll say you're 10% Notre Dame. You're like 90-10 Notre Dame there. You're 90% Bama blood, but you got a little Notre Dame green running through you there. But speaking of, okay, how do I transition this now? Hold on. Okay, I think I got it. Speaking of transitions, let's transition to the Cotton Bowl. There, I transitioned from the transition.
Oh man. Well, we're all ready for this
Oh,
one, man. This is a good one.
hold on, Jack. Let me introduce it. I should have just. This will be bloopers. But the 2024-2025 Goodyear Cotton Bowl from Jerry's World and AT&T Stadium, the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Texas Longhorns for the right to play for the national title in Atlanta, GA on January 20th, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, and 3:30 Pacific, I think. Yeah, 3:30 Pacific or 4:30 Pacific. Yeah, 4:30 Pacific. Go for it, Jack. Let's take it away.
Well, the Ohio State Buckeyes, they were looking to see if they could get it done against Texas, and they did. Well, unfortunately, they did it without the help of Jeremiah Smith because he was double teamed all night. Hey, three receiving yards. That's bad. That's not the same stats they had against Tennessee and Oregon.
I'll say this, Jackson. Texas had a really good game plan. You know, I talked about it a little bit, I think, Tuesday night, but Jackson, they had three receivers on Jeremiah Smith at one point. Did you pay attention to some of the coverages and blitzes they were dialing up? Will
Oh yeah.
Howard never really got comfortable. Like he got hit a few times. And I think he was sacked, I think, once, maybe twice. But he was heated up a couple times. Like I said, that Texas D line is good. It's really good. And when Jeremiah Smith has three people on him like he did, it should have opened up more opportunities. And yes, and just like Troy V mentions right on cue, Tate got some extra touches because they did everything to take JJ out of it. Yeah, Carnell Tate, not, I think that's right. Carnell Tate Jackson, is that how you say his first name?
Hmm.
Or Khalil Tate?
Let, let,
It's, it's
let's
yeah.
look
Make sure I'm
at
pronouncing this right.
Tate, Carnell Tate.
Carnell Tate. Okay. Well, make sure I pronounce this right so I don't get scolded in the chat like a dog, or then I would need the bathwater. But anyway, but yeah, he got a little more extra opportunities, which that just goes to show, Jackson, Texas is littered with wide receiver talent all across the board, and 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 Clint Moses says play action fakes too. Yes, and another. And Clint Moses also, I mean, not Clint Moses, wrong person. Hummus Hero, apologies, says also Texas DBs are just very good. They are. They are really good. They're some of the best in the country. But one of the things, Jackson, I want to point out that when I knew Ohio State was going to win this game was the Will Howard 4th and 1, 4th and 2. I think it was 4th and 1. The quarterback run when they took it from shotgun and they plowed a big hole. I could drive my Dodge pickup truck through that thing. And he was able to run that in, and then Junkins finished the rest of it off. And then I just was like, that to me, when I saw that, I'm like, some nights it's not your night. Because that was the most criticized thing about Ohio State is their O line's beat up. Yeah, you know, people were saying, "Oh, Ohio State, you're injured on the front seven on the O line. That's going to catch you. That's gonna that's eventually when a team with a D line that can get pressure, blitz, and get to Will Howard, he's going to get sped up, and it's going to be all but over." And throughout this playoff run, Jackson, they've been the bright spot. Besides, obviously, Jeremiah Smith, of course, who's the standout, all that, and likely to be a Heisman favorite going into next year. That Ohio State O line, they're moving bodies, and that 4th and 1 call, I don't know if that was a Chip Kelly call or if Will Howard just said, "Screw it, I'm putting this game in my hand. We're going to win it on my back," or if that was a Ryan Day saying, "Chip, step aside. I'm taking the call sheet here. We're going to win this thing." I don't know, but whatever it was, that was a heck of a call, and it worked out.
Yeah, I'm Trevion Henderson. Making that big play to end the first half. That was huge right there.
Yes. Yes, yes. That was one, Jackson. That kind of swung the momentum too, because Texas had went down and tied it. Because it was 7-7. They went down, tied it. The call to blue, the I believe that was in the first half. Yeah, the call
Red
to
and
blue that
blue.
tied it, and Texas all of a sudden had a little momentum, and it was like, okay, Texas is making a game out of this. And then the Travion Henderson screen pass, and I'm just thinking, I'm like, that was the last thing you wanted to have happen. Ohio, Ohio State, you've got it tied with them. You've got good momentum. And then that happens. And it's like, oh, brother. And Troy V says the O line has been pretty good. Yeah, they had some struggles with Texas, but Texas has a good D line. Yes, and I made sure to preface that Texas, like I said, one of the better D lines in the country. And Hummus says Austin drives a Dodge pickup. That's good. I think it's an insult in the South to call someone a Ford fan. Oh, hey, it was my first car I had out of high school. It was a gift, so I took it. I didn't complain. But and Hummus Hero says I have a Chevy S10. No Ford man here. Jackson, I'll let you take it away before we get on the vehicle topic.
Well, I'm just gonna tell you right now, like Jack Sawyer, like well, before we get to that Jack Sawyer play, I mean Jaden Blue getting another touchdown, that helped Texas for a little bit, but Quinshad Junkins making that touchdown, Amika Ibuka getting some receptions. Like Will Howard was having a great night. So it's like, no problem. I'm just gonna throw to my other receivers. They were all set and ready and raring to go. But that game
Mm-hmm.
changer was 4th and goal at the 8-yard line, and the season was on the line. Quinn Ewers gets sacked. Boom, Jack Sawyer returns it for a touchdown. Game was over.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say this, Jackson. I want to give Texas a little respect because I
Huh?
had dogged them a lot this year. And I know we've had plenty of conversations over the last couple of years. Is Texas back? It's Texas. Actually, for real, Jackson, I think going forward, we're going to be seeing Texas in a lot more playoff games. I don't think this is a one hit wonder anymore. Texas football is a legit thing again. Now, will I ever pick them to win a national title? Maybe not,
That's a
but
no. That's a no.
but in all seriousness, though, the obviously the play of the game, Jackson, the Jack Sawyer strip sack. I got to give credit to Jack Sawyer. He's been Ohio State's best defensive player all year long. Him and Caleb Downs. You can argue one or two, however you want. Like, I know some Ohio State fans may prefer Downs over Sawyer or Sawyer over Downs. Both of them equally deserve their props. But Jack Sawyer just made himself an Ohio State legend. I
Mhm.
mean, and that strip sack, Jackson, if viewers would have had a little more time, I don't know if they would have scored or not, but he just never had any time to look in this game either because he got heated up a lot as well. Both quarterbacks were under immense amount of pressure. Neither one of these quarterbacks were just sitting back there making a ham sandwich or flossing their teeth. No, nothing like that. They were both getting sped up big time. I would say Ewers was getting a little more sped up. Obviously, I think when you look at the statistics, I think Ohio State had more sacks. I think it was 4-1 or 4-2, if I remember correctly. Correctly, but Ewers, if he just had a little more time and his receivers could create more separation, he might have been able to find somebody. But Jack Sawyer come around off that edge, he beats the old lineman, and then Ewers not looking at his blind side, the biggest hit of the biggest moment. And there it is. That's the end of it. That's the ball game. And I'm gonna use the same principle I use for Drew Aller. I'm gonna be fair, I'm gonna be just, I'm gonna be partial. Partial. I don't know how Ewers is gonna look at his coach, look at his players in the face after the worst possible way to end a season, to possibly end a career. I don't know what's worse, Jackson, Drew Allers or Quentin Ewers. You be the
Drew Allers.
judge.
It's Drew Allers.
You think his was the worst?
Mhm.
What worse are the two?
Yep.
Yeah, I'd probably have to agree because Aller, at least he knew where he was looking dead at it. Ewers, I don't think even knew he was coming. And Hummus Hero says Sawyer was just getting even with Ewers for leaving him expired milk in the fridge. It is what it is. Dang. In that case, I don't ever want to leave expired milk in anybody's fridge if they're going to ruin my biggest moment in my career, because that's going to follow Ewers wherever he goes.
Well, and Quinn Ewers, as of right now, says he's not gonna be playing next year, but he is gonna go to the NFL draft, at least for now.
hmm And I want to say this too, Jackson. Just all around these past two games, I want to give a shout out to the defenses. Who says defense is dead, Jackson? The
I don't
two
know.
biggest plays, the two biggest plays in CFP history came from the defensive side of the ball. Who said defense is dead?
Oh yeah. I'll tell you this though. There's one other thing that we didn't get to mention in the Cotton Bowl.
What's that?
The loser of Texas Ohio State is now thinking about August 30th, 2025. And that's Texas Longhorns. They're going to be thinking about the rematch in Columbus in week 1. That's a game I'm
hmm
looking forward to seeing.
And Hummus says, I still think Clinton has elite potential. He just needs to be in the right system in the NFL, and he could be really good. Who knows, Jackson? Maybe the Titans could come calling.
I doubt the Titans are going to make him the number 1 draft pick. That's not happening.
Well, with Jackson, you could get him later on because I don't think he's going to be a first rounder. He might go round 5 or 6, maybe.
Well, we'll wait and see what happens with the Titans. But I am excited about the national championship coming up.
Yes, it's Notre Dame, Ohio State for all the marbles. And just to give you a little teaser, just to give you a little bit, and then we're going to take it away. Give you a little teaser. Jackson, when's the last time these two played one another? I want to see if
Well,
you know.
the 2023 matchup in week 4 where the
And
Buckeyes won
Jackson,
a tight one.
well, Jackson, what happened in that game exactly?
Notre Dame didn't
One
look and
second.
see. They didn't look and see how many men they had in the backfield.
Jackson, 1 second. How much do you think Marcus Freeman is playing that this week to his players?
Oh, he's
Rewinding that
like,
over and
oh,
over and over again.
oh,
One
yeah.
second. That's all it takes. 1 second. You don't think he's drilling that in their heads?
Oh, yeah.
1 second, guys. 1 second. We were heartbroken. We were dejected. All it takes is 1 second.
Oh, yeah. He's got it drilled into their heads. I mean, he's
hmm
really thinking about this one.
hmm
But
But
Ohio State, as for them, that Michigan loss was a blessing in disguise because it was like, oh, this is a reality check for us. We got to get things rolling in the playoffs. Boom.
in which we'll dive more into Notre Dame and Ohio State, the national title. We'll dive more into that this week. Don't worry. Don't worry, our peeps, our fans. We will. Yeah, we're saving the good stuff for later. But Jackson, as tradition throughout this playoffs, it's time to hand out some awards before we go. And
Oh,
you know what award we're going to start with? Who's
oh.
your overall MVP this week? Who earned your MVP this week? Overall, from both games, who earned your MVP?
Well, for me, I'm going to have to say Will Howard for Ohio State, Texas. And as for Notre Dame, Penn State, let's take a look at them. My MVP will be Jaden Greathouse.
Okay. So my MVP for Texas Ohio State is Cardell Tate. He gets the MVP for me.
Okay.
Stepping up big time when they didn't have their best stuff. He gets my MVP. And then for Notre Dame Penn State, I'm giving it to Riley Leonard. Kid played tough, threw 2 picks, and still persevered and found a way. He gets my MVP. Now, Jackson, this is the unfun part of our business. Who was the most disappointing this week? Who was more disappointing? Texas or Penn State?
Well, I think Penn State by the way they lost.
I'll say Penn State too. Same thing. Yeah. By the way they lost. Yeah. I would say they're both disappointing, but at least Texas went out on their sword. Penn State, I'm still just like wondering what the heck that was, but they were most disappointing to me. And then of course Jackson. I'm gonna put you on the spot, Jackson.
Okay.
Who played the better? What was the better game? The Cotton Bowl or the Orange Bowl? Last one. Who's the better game?
I think the Orange Bowl was the better game for me.
Me too. Orange Bowl. Ooh, Clint Moses says Texas was disappointing. Best QB was sitting on the bench. Oh, okay. What do you think about that, Jack?
I wish we saw a little bit more of Arch Manning, but you know what? We're going to see more of him in 2025, and we're especially going to see him against Ohio State and Columbus on either Fox or CBS or NBC. I don't know when the well, we know the Big Ten SEC schedules are announced for 2025. I mean, we know who's playing who in the ACC Big 12 for 2025, but we just don't know when. We'll know more about the Big 12 schedules in the next few weeks. Same with the ACC.
And Rough Rider says the Orange Bowl. I think everyone would say the Orange Bowl. Oh, in Jackson, I cannot forget. We almost forgot this before we do our thing. Shout out to Mitch Cheater for Notre Dame, the clutchest kick in his career. Shout out to that young man. All the
Yay.
pressure on all the pressure in the world on you, the whole world watching. Ice in your veins. Shout out Mitch Jeter.
He
Give
gave
him a round of applause for
he gave Sean McDonough another memorable call throughout his commentating career.
That's why you love it, Jack, because now you got another Sean McDonough moment. Not only do you get the call, but you get
Oh,
Mitch Jeter with the field goal. I can't do it, but
yeah, that's
I'll
all
work
right.
on that.
Okay, you have to watch a lot of his calls, lot of the old games that he called. Watch a lot of those old games they called. Like specifically ones when he did like baseball, like basketball, and the NHL, college football, NFL, all that. Like that. That's
hmm
all it takes. But yeah.
But yeah,
But Pat, what do you think? Like it? Do you think like Sean McDonough's call of the 2025 Orange Bowl is up there with like some of his other famous calls, like 2015 Michigan State, the 1993 World Series Game 6 with Joe Carter hitting the game-winning home run, and countless other college football games that I'm missing out on. Oh, and the
hmm
2018 wild card between the Titans and the Chiefs.
of course Jackson has to slide the Titans in there. Oh my gosh. That lets you know how bad it is. Jackson's reliving the Marcus Mariota days. Oh my gosh.
It's so bad over in
At
Tennessee.
least I have 2016 to relive, I guess.
It's hell over
But
in Tennessee.
but speaking of Jackson, I'm old. I like Kurt Gowdy. Oh wow.
Yeah, Austin. I don't. Do you know who Kurt Gowdy is, Austin?
Not off the top of my head. I'm a real young head. I
Well,
grew up on like Kurt Herbstreit and all them. I grew up on I
well,
no
this guy
literally
made a
my
lot of
child.
famous calls, like with call it. Well, he called a lot of NFL games, Major League Baseball games, AFL games, like specifically the 1968 Heidi Bowl between the Raiders and the Jets, where the final 2 minutes were left off because NBC's like, shit, we're past schedule. We got to turn it on the Heidi movie. Well, what about the Raiders Jets? The hell with them. They'll figure it out. We got money to make. And everybody's like sending out angry letters. They're like, why did we miss the Raiders beating the Jets? Why did we miss that? It's like, we did not think this through. Oh man, one of these days I've got to talk about like if I ever when I get like a Raiders person or a Jets person on, I need to on a Jack Stone episode. I'll probably have to see if I can slide in the 1968 Jets season, Super
Oh,
Bowl.
jeez.
Yep, that was where Joe Namath guaranteed that the Jets were gonna win it all in the Super Bowl against the Baltimore Colts.
Oh,
And
Jesus.
the night before that, like he didn't mention it until he was on the Howard Stern show 2019. The night before Joe Namath led the New York Jets to victory against the top NFL champion Baltimore Colts, Namath had a little bit of fun with a waitress. I think we
Mm-hmm.
all guessed what that meant, but I mean, I'll be real with you. Namath was a humongous lazy man. I think he still is to this day. I think the old man still got some tricks up his sleeve.
Well, Jackson, I appreciate your insight on that, Jackson. What are you, TMZ? But
Nope.
in all seriousness, in all seriousness, though, Jason O says ESPN Skycast doesn't have the announcers. That's the best way to watch. I have to check that out. I ain't never realized they did that.
Oh yeah, like there was a thing on ESPN 3 for ESPN Plus where it offered you the Notre Dame broadcasters calling it, Penn State broadcasters, Ohio
Oh,
State.
cool.
Yeah, I didn't know if you saw that or not. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
should
never
be
knew that.
like oh
I never knew that. I knew Pat McAfee did one on ESPN 2, and I know they had one with the actual game, and that was it. I didn't know they had their own like ones with their own personal people. I have to check that out. Just see what it's like. See how much bias is in it.
well, Jason O, like your comment about the Jets interviewing Mike Locksley for the head coach position. Seriously, I wish I could be a fan free agent. Well, I saw that the other day, and that tells me the Jets are desperate. I mean, they know they're not getting Mike Vrabel. They're going to lose yet again to the Patriots. I mean, the days of 1968 are not coming back anytime soon. This is how bad it is for the Jets. This is how
Uh,
bad it is for them. Final
yes.
Jeopardy category was Super Bowl winners. Ken Jennings is asking all the contestants who is the team that won a Super Bowl months before Neil Armstrong landed on the moon and haven't been to a Super Bowl afterwards? Some dumbass got the Giants. Some idiot on there. Some idiot got the Giants, and somebody was saying the Brant. Those people don't even watch football. That's how bad the Jets are. That is how bad they are. Jeopardy contestants don't even know the history of the New York Jets. That's bad. That is so bad if you're the Jets. You know, the Jets locker room should use that as a motivational tool. Just be like, hey, people on Jeopardy don't know who we are. Well, we're going to tell them who we are. And that whoever the Nets head coach is, they need to be like Dan Campbell and show them that freaking clip. That is what that coach needs to do. I don't care who it is. If you just bring that up in the introductory press conference, I'm sold. That you're selling me right there.
Well, I see how to get Jackson fired up. Just talk about the Jets and their coaching search. Good to know.
Oh, somebody,
And
oh man, that's going to get me thinking about Jets and Final Jeopardy in a heartbeat.
oh my gosh. But
I'm
Hummus
sorry about
says,
that, man.
you know who Howard Cosell is? Yes, I do because my grandparents we they would show me old videos on their tablets and stuff
Nice.
because my dream was always to be a caster. So I I ended up doing a little studying on him. He was good for his time, really good. But my personal favorite always will be. I love Brad Nessler. Like that was the guy I always wanted to be. Like, how about them onions? Like, like that's one of my favorite phrases. Jim Nance, of course. I like Tony Romo in the booth. You know those kind of guys. But yes, I know who that is though, hummus. Oh boy, look what you started, Jackson. Oh boy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Wasn't he like drunk when he was doing that or no? Like I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have to look back at that.
Did you know this fact, Jackson? Joe
Mhm.
Namath was on the Brady Bunch once.
Yep. And I need to go watch that episode when I can find it.
And Hummus said, well, he did have the right city, just the wrong franchise. Oh,
I don't give a
boy.
rat. I don't give a rat's ass. I don't give a rat's ass. Like anybody, a freaking baby could tell you the Giants have been to the Super Bowl in their franchise history. A baby can tell you that.
I wouldn't go that far, Jackson. Jackson, we almost made it through the show without throwing the dang baby out with the bathwater. Troy had almost done his job successfully so he could sleep peacefully. Don't you start talking about the babies, because then Troy's gonna not get paid for the night. That's his job, to make sure you don't throw the babies out with the bathwater.
When
Because
I
too
throw
many.
babies out with the bath, I'm saying a baby can give out better
Okay, good.
knowledge than a grown adult. No worries there.
That's good.
A baby can give out bit more knowledge on the history of Super Bowls than a grown ass adult.
Hmm.
It's
And
not,
well,
but this is a happier topic because it was Len Dawson and the Kansas City Chiefs. They got it done against the Minnesota Vikings, and once again,
hmm
like the fact that the Chiefs were beating up on the Vikings, that showed us right then and there the AFL was on equal footing with the NFL. It was just too bad. Like I wish we got to see like the AFL and the NFL play each other like prior to 1956 season, but oh well, they didn't. It is what it is. So
yeah, and one more thing before we go, Jackson. I would be remiss if we didn't at least mention this. Mention this because this is going to be a topic on how we segue into what you've got.
mhm,
But Jackson, we have a brand new Hall of Famer to the 2024-2025
mhm,
College Football Hall of Fame, and it's none other than the greatest of all time himself, Coach Nick Saban, is going to be an inductee. By all accounts, Jackson, he's first ballot. His spot in history is etched.
there you
What
go.
what what do you think, Jackson? Just real quick.
No questions asked, no ifs, ands, or buts. They've made the perfect choice on getting the Nick Saban into the Hall of Fame. Like he was like, "Oh, me?" Like he was pretty It was pretty cool seeing that on College Game Day, where he found out he's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's great for all of college football. As a matter
Mm-hmm.
of fact,
Yeah,
I
he's
know
one of
all.
real quick, Jackson. I just want to say this: he's one of the greatest coaches that ever lived, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions. And I don't know if Alabama ever gets to the heights that they do without him. But if you want to hear more on this topic, you know where to go. There you go,
Oh,
Jackson. We segue for you. Take it away.
well, I'll say this on Monday afternoon will be the 21st edition of Crimson Tide Live, where Johnny Burt's and I will discuss our take on Nick Saban officially being in the Hall of Fame. As a matter of fact, we're gonna have another topic on there: Saban or the Bear. That's gonna be a question right there for the ages, like for all of Alabama Nation, Saban or the Bear. Because it's going to be a great topic to discuss, and we're going to discuss a little bit about recruiting on what's going on down there, and we're going to go over more news, and we're going to discuss our take on Derrick Henry getting the dub against the Steelers, and we're going to wonder if we'll see him get the Ravens a Super Bowl. And I agree, Jay Snow. Shane Gill's pretty funny having some fun with Saban on College Game Day. I mean, well, I mean, as they say, if you're gonna tell the truth, make everybody laugh, or they'll kill you. Like that's something I've heard.
Mm-hmm. I tell you this, Jackson. I'm looking forward to listening to you and Johnny debate this because I'm not qualified for this. Like I'm gonna leave that to the Alabama people. I'm gonna stay in my lane. So Jackson, you all are the Bama people. I'll let you handle it. But this is where they can find it if they want to get in on it themselves. I'm not qualified. I'm not even worthy. No.
Well, you're an honorary
No.
fan, so there you go. You got a title now. So anyway, but of course, there will be the Alabama call-in show from Jeffrey to Only Talk Sports and myself, where we take your call on the Alabama Crimson Tide. And we will be discussing a lot about the Alabama Crimson Tide, not only with each other, but with you as well. And
Not to interrupt, Jackson, but who in the blue moon would want to talk to you about Alabama, good buddy? I mean, listen, I love you, Jack, but
you.
this is true. But listen, Jack. Nobody likes Alabama. Y'all suck. Like, y'all stink. No, I'm just kidding. I kid because I love. But go ahead, Jackson. Go ahead.
Well, I mean,
Jackson's a great host.
I do my best.
But go ahead, Jackson. Go ahead. I kid because I love.
There we go. We passed 2,500 subs on Alabama with the Voice College Football. We are looking to get 3,000 subs. We feel that the Texas channel will beat us in 3,000 subs, but we know we can beat them to 4,000 subs. Because it's like, hey, they've gotten to the playoffs, but we don't run the whole SEC. We got some.
Oh boy.
We got some. We still got it. We still got it. But
yeah.
And you can tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers at Publix about the magic that Johnny, Jeffrey, and myself bring on Alabama with the Voice College Football. And of course, you can become a YouTube member on Alabama with the Voice College Football as well. For $2.99 a month, you can become a Crimson Faithful member, where you will get a loyalty badge next to your name and a custom emoji to use in the comments and the live chat, and you will get a member shout out. For example, Breakaway 34, who is a tremendous member for Alabama with the Voice College Football. Couldn't agree more. It's best Alabama channel on all YouTube. Great. It's what the cool kids are doing these days, for sure. And of course, for $4.99 a month, you get access to a monthly hangout from yours truly, myself, Jeffrey Don Talk Sports, and Johnny Burtz, and a priority reply to comments just by becoming a Saban disciple for $4.99 a month. And for $9.99 a month, you can give out content requests and connect on social media with each other on Alabama with the Voice College Football. And in return, you become a Bear Bryant legend. Neither rain nor sleet nor snow will put a stop to us from putting quality content on Alabama with the Voice College Football. I mean, do you really
Don't even mention snow.
stop us? You think the snow is going to stop us? No, it's not going to stop us on Alabama with the Voice College Football. And of course, you can also check me out on my personal YouTube, where I've got the Pits Analysis and Final Whistle with this man right here next to me, Sports Talk with Austin Williams, and the College Basketball Buzzer Beater with Will ND, and of course, the Jacksonian. And matter of fact, keep your eyes peeled for a release on Thursday night or sometime around Friday for the next episode of the Jacksonian with the host of Locked On Patriots, host Mike Debate, joining me discussing his take on what's going on with the New England Patriots. How's it been in 2024? What's his thoughts on
Mhm.
Mike Vrabel? What are the draft needs? And much, much more. And I'm going to tell you something right now. That will be a fun ride right there. And for more updates of what I'm doing on Alabama with the voice of college football and what I've got planned on the Jacksonian and much, much more on my personal channel, check me out on X/Twitter on Jacksonville CFB. You can also check me out on Instagram and Threads at Jackson Johnson 543 908. And that's not all. You can also check me out on Blue Sky, where I've got some magic cooking up there as well. So I'm on everywhere. I'm everywhere. Like, I'm,
Jackson's he's high in the sky, as they say.
yeah, you might say that. And I'm all I appreciate that breakaway. I appreciate that. Need Jackson Austin tagged along with the Chris Bancast. Great
Oh,
show. Yeah. Thank you.
me and Jackson, we would call the national title game. We'd have no problem with it. Me and Jackson, well, we would be authentic with it. You would get our honest reactions. Like I'll be honest with you. If a play breaks the way that the team I'm rooting for, I might jump up and down a little bit. I'll try to keep my bias, but you know, a little, our little fanboys come out in us every now and then, or girls, or women. We don't discriminate. We love all kinds around here. Girls, boys. We're all fans at heart. But I would love to, especially with Jackson. We'd have so much fun in the booth. We'd be the next Tony Romo and Jim Nance.
Oh, it'd be plenty of fun. It'd be a
Yes.
lot. So there we go. And with that being said, Austin, what have you got going on your world on YouTube? And
So obviously we've got picks and analysis and final whistle for the national title, and of course Jackson. I'm excited to let the people in on this, which is no secret. Because Clint Moses brought up, that he's going to be sad that he's going to miss us without football. Well, you're in luck, Clint Moses, because we've got a couple show ideas stewing for after football season. Not too many, because we do like to take breaks too. But me and Jackson thought, you know, why not do this? Of course, we're going to do Bowl Mania recap because do our due diligence, but me and Jackson also discussed this as well. We'll do a transfer portal update for you all as well if y'all are into that. For our transfer portal update, people, sometime after the national title game, we'll pick a day, go live, we'll talk about the transfer portal, and just see what's happening out there. So you will see us, just not as often. Me and Jackson are not going to leave you, I promise. The duo that you love, we may be taking a siesta, but we will always be back. We will give you that transfer portal update. Don't you worry. We we are going to do that for you. And then, of course, Bowl Mania recap. But those are two shows I'm excited to announce after football season. And hopefully something you all will enjoy because it'll be my first time doing a transfer portal update. So
there you go.
I'm looking for, and I know Jackson's been doing it a little bit on Alabama, so he'll go into it more experienced than I was. Now, I'll be more optimistic about it. I won't complain too much about it. Now, if Louisville doesn't get all the 5 stars, I might have a fuss on air, but
Yeah, don't.
that's neither
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Like if you get upset about it, don't turn it into like a new rules segment from Real Time on Bill Maher.
Yeah, I'll make a new rule. Be like, if we're going to talk only about Louisville players. No, I'm just kidding. We'll talk
Yeah,
about everybody.
yeah. Don't be like where you just go. And finally, new rule. These young people, okay, these young people, they need to cheer up. Okay. How's my Bill Maher impression, folks?
But in all seriousness, though, that's what we kind of me and Jackson have cooked up together. After the national title and after the dust settles, we'll do our Bowl Mania recap, transfer portal update, and we might even do top 10 games of the year later on after the dust settles. You never know. I won't make any promises to that, but can promise you, you will get 4 more shows with us. 4 more. So enjoy them, folks. 4 more. Count them down. Cherish them. Love them. Hit the DVR if that still exists. But 4 more shows with us. And then we're taking a siesta. We're going on vacation. I'm sending Jackson to Hawaii, and I'll go to Costa Rica. And we'll be off to Cancun. And we'll send someone to Cancun. But that's where what we've got coming up. And of course, on my channel, of course, it'll be on Jackson's. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter if you would like, if you feel so obliged. You know, where Louisville basketball is back in season. Louisville's finally getting right on the right track. Jackson's repping Alabama over there. Bama basketball is dominating in 2 sports now, which God help us all.
Well,
Just
I have my
wait, just wait.
basketball shirt on tonight.
But that's what I've got going on, and we appreciate y'all for being here. And one final shout out, congratulations to Notre Dame, Ohio State, congrats, enjoy it, bask in your all's glory. But now you're playing for everything. Monday, January 20th, someone's gonna get a big, nice, shiny trophy, and someone's gonna cry and get some tears. But that's the way this sport works.
There we go.
And Breakaway Jackson says, legit, yeah, that would be helpful to stay up with what's going on. And Jackson, we got ourselves a fan. I think he was referring to the transfer portal. Yeah, if people are into it, we might do it more often. But the first one we'll definitely do just to give it a test run because there's a lot of big movements. And I know Jackson, Alabama, they got a lot of players on the move. Louisville, been a quiet season, been quiet over here, but we'll talk about that when we get there. But and yes, congratulations to Alabama over beating Texas A&M. That's a big win. We went and beat Pitt, but we're steering the ship the wrong way, which is partly my fault. I take blame for that. But thank y'all for being here. We've got 1 game left, y'all. Let's enjoy it. Let's celebrate it.
Boom.
Let's crown us a champion. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe both our channels either. Because if you do, Jackson will personally deliver you Omaha steaks to your front door. And he'll deliver you a brand new car.
Click on the
If you do.
notification bell so you never miss no video whatsoever. And we will see you soon. Stay safe, stay warm. It's cold out. And roll tide.
Go Cards, everybody.